And you'd be surprised how many people still don't know who Carl Froch is. 33-2 with 24 knockouts, the IBF and the WBA Super Middleweight Champion. I know we don't really know what the real WBA belt is, but what I'm saying, if you look at Carl Froch's resume, you know, just throwing some names out there: Lucien Boutte, Jean Pascal, Jermaine Taylor, Mikhail Kessler, 2 fights with George Groves. Just throw Andre Ward, just throwing some names out there. He has one of the best resumes in boxing today, up along the lines with a Floyd Mayweather, with a Dana Garcia, with a Bernard Hopkins, and I'm talking about as far as competition fought pound for pound, want to lose. So, in my opinion, once again, I do believe that he deserves a pay-per-view super fight. As it stands right now, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., 48-1-1 with 32 knockouts, is having some issues with his promoter, Bob Arum of Top Rank Boxing. So now, Carl Froch is in a situation where he's finished Carl Froch on Ice. I don't know if you saw it. You know, I don't even know if it's called Carl Froch on Ice. But I saw, you know, Carl Froch is out there ice skating. Carl Froch is out there doing like Circus Olay and jumping through hoops of fire and stuff. I'm dead serious. But one thing I like about Carl Froch is he's one of the only fighters in this generation who actually walks around on or at his weight. Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Carl Froch all walk around at their fight weight. He's in phenomenal shape, and even if he may be losing the fight earlier on, he is known as probably the best comeback boxer of this generation. And don't get it twisted, he will knock you out. So, with fights with Gennady, Golovkin, we don't know if that can happen. You know, Froch hinted at it. HBO's been wanting to fight. They've been instigated. You know, after Golovkin knocked out Daniel Gill, they put up some message, you know. Basically, they've been trying to, you know, coax Carl Froch into a Golovkin fight on HBO. The Chavez Jr. thing we talked about, you know, no George Groves. You know, you got maybe Anthony Durrell, but I think Carl Froch is not out there to try to get more belts at this time. He wants to be recognized worldwide, and he wants to get, you know, he wants to be on pay-per-view. Now, when you look at the 160 and 168 pound division, along with the 175, there's only about 3 fighters that can get you onto pay-per-view. In 160, who? Miguel Cotto, and we know he's not fighting no Carl Froch. You know, at 168, you got Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And then at 175, I can't even tell you. Adonis Stevenson, no. You know, maybe. See, Bernard Hopkins just doesn't have that. He doesn't have that sell anymore. So, we're looking at now the #1 contender, James Degale, 19-1 with 13 knockouts. You may not have heard of him before, but he's an Olympic gold medalist. He has a lot of foot movement, and if you saw the George Groves fight against Carl Froch, he has better movement than George Groves, but not as much power, in my opinion, as George Groves. Now, he lost. His only loss is just so happens to be to George Groves. Depending on how you score the fight, you may think that James Degale was robbed. So, looking at the fact that James Degale is the #1 contender, Carl Froch has been dancing around the idea of maybe retiring or so, retiring if he didn't get a big fight. But the James Degale fight is starting to gain some steam, especially since, you know, we don't know, nobody knows what's going on with the Chavez Jr. situation. And from my understanding, it's a good chance that fight is not going to happen. But the James Degale situation is turning into a big domestic fight. Oh, by the way, you got to give a shout out to Eddie Hearn, because, see, honestly, I'm close to giving him the Promoter of the Year award. So, I mean, just my own Promoter of the Year award. But I think I'm going to do a whole video just on that alone. So, we got James Degale, who's going to return in October, on October the 11th. You know, I don't know if he's going to be headlining that card or David Haye's going to be headlining that card, but it looks like it's going to be him. And no opponent has yet to be announced. Anthony Joshua's going to be on that card, and I forgot who else, but he's got that card in October, and you got to think, okay, well, it's not going to be too tough of a fight, especially since no opponent has been announced yet. There's going to be something to get him ready for the potential big clash in February against Carl Froch. Because Carl Froch said himself that he wanted to basically take the winner off. You know, he had to fight George Groves in a mandatory. you know, and then he had to fight George Groves again in the mandatory. So in November he had to fight George Groves, and then again in May he had to fight George Groves. So He wanted to spend more time with his family and his girlfriend, you know, his hot, sexy girlfriend. He wanted to do some circus work, you know, and I don't know. You know, you got to check it out, honestly, because when I see him up there, I'm like, this guy, you know, I told a story one time on one of my videos that, like, what would happen if I spent the day with Carl Froch? I think he'd just pick you up in, like, probably like a BMW or something, but he'd have, like, a small one. He'll, like, take you out to, like, the countryside, you know, and make, like, this heterosexual man picnic. And then, you know, he'll make, like, it'll be fresh bread that he stayed up all night almost to make. Then he'll probably drive you around and take you sightseeing and start telling you stories about history and everything. He seems like, you know, like what they would say a real gentleman is. Even though for a man, I'd be like, yo, like, okay, all right, you know, let's just go have a beer or something, you know. But I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. I'm getting back into the groove of things. You know, it's boxing season again, so I'm going to be pumping out a whole bunch of videos. Please subscribe.